In this episode of The Simpsons, Scott and Boone challenge Homer to a barbecue competition. However, when Homer's secret weapon, a grill he bought from a mysterious street vendor, is stolen, Bart and Lisa team up to find the thief. The episode begins at Springfield Elementary School, where Principal Skinner announces that the movie planned for the children must be cancelled. For this reason, he decides to show another film that he is passionate about. As soon as it starts, the kids are already booing. Next, the title of the movie appears, Dr. Dolittle. Skinner explains that it is a classic from the 1960s and details that the story is about a single and elderly doctor who dedicates his life to studying animals. However, the kids begin to grow restless when they realize the movie is too long. Nelson is the first to flee the room but is stopped by janitor Willie, who forces him back to his seat with a hose. As the movie plays, all the children sit bored in their seats. Bart complains that there is a scene where a horse undergoes an eye exam, which seems to last hundreds of hours. The story continues with the doctor falling in love with a seal, which disgusts the kids. They then start making comments about their personal lives. However, as time passes, the movie keeps going, now with a song about the wonderful world of Dr. Dolittle. While everyone is bored, only Ralph smiles, and Principal Skinner enthusiastically sings along to the song. Finally, after 152 minutes, the movie comes to an end, but practically all the kids are already asleep. The lights turn on, and Nelson comments that the movie lasted so long that the place already stinks. When he takes a closer sniff, he realizes that the smell actually comes from Bart. Then, all the children start approaching him and discover that, indeed, Bart was the one with the bad odor. Bart stands up to defend himself, but Martin comments in front of everyone that not only Bart but also Lisa smelled terrible. The kids move closer to confirm and conclude that Lisa also had an unpleasant odor. Even Milhouse, who has a crush on her, agrees with the other students. Everyone starts booing Bart and Lisa, calling them smelly, while the principal, watching the scene, comments on how cruel children can be. In another scene, we see Homer going through the same situation with his neighbors. Later, the entire Simpson family gathers, and Homer tells them what happened to him. Then, Lisa wonders what could be going on. There were several reasons why the family was excluded from certain things, but it was almost never because of their hygiene. Until it's Marge's turn to speak, and she reveals that she wonders where that smell was coming from. She goes down to the basement with the whole family and shows them the situation with the washing machine. Then, Marge opens a compartment of a robot and takes out a bag full of money. She explains that this was all the money she had managed to recover from Homer's pants over time, and she was saving it to buy a spice rack. However, with the current situation, they realize that they will have to spend the money on a new washing machine. She concludes by saying that they couldn't continue with the reputation of being smelly. Later, Homer gets into the car, and everyone is wearing completely different clothes than usual. He warns them that once they return, they won't need to wear the clothes that come from the washing machine in the basement. Then, Homer drives through the streets until they reach a washing machine store. However, when he smells smoked meat, he gets distracted, chases the scent, and crosses the street without looking in any direction. He finally finds a barbecue stand by the roadside. The street vendor offers a piece of meat for Homer to try, and as soon as he does, Homer feels a strange sensation of happiness, celebrating as several pieces of meat fall around him. Homer admires the vendor's grill, and the man explains that his grill has been passed down from generation to generation. He begins by telling him that the grill, shaped like a beehive, was made from a meteorite that burned his great-grandfather's beard. That's when his family concluded it was a gift from heaven, making it the perfect smoker. The man explains that he had never cleaned the grill in his life, and that all the grease, smoke, and meat that went through it turned into pure magic. Homer, fascinated, listens as the vendor says that the grill is available for purchase. When Homer asks why he would sell something so precious, the man explains that he and his wife are trying to save money to live away from their grandchildren. Homer looks across the street and sees the laundromat. He thinks that if he doesn't return home with a new washing machine, Marge will get angry. Then he wonders if he should do the right thing or what everyone knew he would do. Later, Homer arrives home with a beehive-shaped smoker. When Marge sees it, she starts arguing with him, outraged because he only had one mission, to buy a new washing machine. However, Homer failed and came home with a smoker. Marge, irritated, leaves with the children, leaving Homer alone. Looking at the sky, Homer remembers the advice from the man who sold him the grill. The barbecue could solve all the problems. He also reflects on the fact that the man revealed he was no longer among them. Sometime later, Marge is in the basement organizing her clothes when she smells an irresistible scent coming from outside. Curious, she decides to go to the garden and finds Homer grilling meat in the smoker while the kids enjoy the barbecue. Even Lisa, who is a vegetarian, is delighted and comments that her smoked carrots taste completely different from what she's used to. Homer, excited, even prepares a special bottle for Maggie at his barbecue. When it's Marge's turn to offer her a piece of meat, she refuses by all means, insisting on not eating it. However, Homer keeps trying until at one point Marge gets tired of his insistence and decides to take a bite of the meat. When she tries it, Marge feels the same sense of happiness that Homer felt when he first tasted the smoked meat. Delighted by the unique flavor, she finally joins the rest of the family to savor a beautiful plate of meat, putting aside her initial irritation. At dusk, everyone is still outside the house, with Homer grilling new meat in the smoker. The irresistible smell begins to spread throughout the city, attracting the attention of the neighbors. One by one, the residents of Springfield begin to approach, curious. Sensing an opportunity, Homer decides to serve everyone some of his smoked meat. The crowd quickly gathers in the Simpsons garden, turning the space into a big impromptu party, with everyone praising the incomparable taste of the meat prepared by Homer. After a week, the Simpsons' house is completely crowded, and everyone heads to have a barbecue. The neighbors are frantic, believing that, since they are popular, Homer's decision to buy the grill was the best thing he could have done for the family. At one point, a different car arrives in the city, drawing everyone's attention. A man gets out of the vehicle and starts questioning people, asking if anyone has seen a barbecue chef named Homer Simpson. Comic book guy quickly recognizes the man as the famous chef Scott Boom from Chew Network. Scott finds Homer and decides to invite him to participate in his new show, where he uses his skills as a great chef from New York City to devour amateur cooks. Homer, excited, quickly accepts the challenge, and Scott announces that the challenge will take place directly at the Springfield BBQ Festival. And before leaving, he tells Homer that after the event, he never wants to know anything about food again. Scott returns to his car and leaves the city. Meanwhile, the neighbors start supporting Homer, but as Homer looks up at the sky, he reflects on the advice of the man who sold him the barbecue and agrees with him. There's nothing that can't be solved with food. Now Homer prepares a rib that he intends to leave in his smoker for 24 hours, with the intention of winning the BBQ Festival Challenge. Everything is ready, and Homer heads outside, eager to start the process. However, something unexpected happens. When he arrives in the garden, he discovers that his smoker is no longer there. Homer screams loudly that his smoker has been stolen, which makes the whole family quickly appear. Desperate, Homer looks around and hears a voice from the sky reminding him that he hadn't chained the barbecue. Feeling defeated, Homer becomes disheartened and, in a burst of frustration, throws the rib to the ground. Later, the officers appear where Homer is, and he asks them if they can find his smoker. Chief Vigoon, trying to deceive Homer, warns him not to worry too much. However, Lou intervenes and explains that things weren't so simple, as it was easy to find good barbecue restaurants like Homer's. Homer becomes desperate, believing that he has lost his smoker forever. He feels completely defeated, fearing that his chance to win the Barbecue Festival Challenge has been ruined. Another day, Homer is lying on his porch when Bart passes by with a basketball. Bart hits his father in the face with the ball, then rides his skateboard over them, and finally throws a water balloon in Homer's face. However, Homer does not react in any way. Feeling upset by his father's lack of reaction, Bart decides to lecture Homer and tells him to forget about the barbecue. Then Homer gets up and warns that this was much more than just losing a barbecue device. To him, it meant the death of hope. Bart, confused, doesn't understand what his father means. Homer then explains that life always found a way to take away everything good the family had achieved. He says that's why he decided that from that moment on, he would simply lie down on the ground, not caring about anything else. Bart irreverently comments that Homer's life has always been miserable and tells him to do what he always did: get drunk. However, Homer says he is not willing to do that, which leaves Bart surprised by the seriousness of the situation, understanding that things really weren't okay. Days go by and Homer remains lying down, showing no interest in anything. Then Bart, from Lisa's room, comments on the fact that Homer is lying down, looking like a beached whale. He suggests that maybe they should chase after the smoker. "Look at him, lying there like a beached whale, waiting to explode. Maybe we should go after the smoker." Lisa, however, feels resentful. She remembers that the whole thing promoted meat consumption and that the barbecue generated a lot of smoke, which polluted the environment. Bart, trying to explain his intention, warns that he didn't want to do it to harm the planet. For him, the reason was simple. He had never seen his father like this, so low. Looking out the window and seeing that Homer's situation worsens, Lisa begins to understand Bart's point of view. With that, she gives in and agrees to try to help. Then, Bart and Lisa go to the backyard and start searching for clues about the smoker's whereabouts. They search everywhere, watching closely. At that moment, the family jumps on Bart and begins licking him. This causes Bart to lose his temper. He tells the dog to lie down, irritated. But this action of the dog makes Lisa remember that Santa's little helper was in the backyard at the moment they stole the smoker. However, she realizes that the dog is not making any noise, which makes her wonder why. Then the two go to the doghouse and find a jar of peanut butter. He thinks it could have been used by someone who stole the smoker, probably to distract the dog, making it lick the pot instead of barking. Natural peanut butter? What if someone had given this to the dog to lick instead of barking while they were looking for the smoker? Lisa, excited about the discovery, realizes that she has found an important clue and now begins to believe that she might be closer to discovering who stole the smoker. Meanwhile, on the Gobbling Up show with Scott Boone, Homer continues lying on the living room couch, completely unmotivated. Marge, sitting on the couch next to him, tries to cheer him up by reminding him that Scott couldn't beat them. However, when the show begins, the host announces who Scott's competitors will be. Once again, Scott wins the prize and celebrates by humiliating his competitors. As he watches the scene, Homer only thinks that the most important lesson the family learned is that, at that moment, nothing else mattered. He feels defeated, believing that all his attempts were in vain. At that moment, Bart and Lisa enter the room and show Homer the jar of peanut butter they found in the backyard. They warn him that with this they will find the stolen smoker. Excited by the discovery, Bart and Lisa run off to begin the search. However, Homer, demotivated, shouts words of discouragement at them, saying that it's useless and that nothing else matters. Now, Lisa and Bart are riding their bikes through the streets of Springfield, and Lisa comments that there was only one place in town where they sold natural peanut butter, a store called Natural Barn. They head toward the location, and upon arrival, Lisa asks Bart to let her talk to the vendor, since she knows how to deal with that type of person. Lisa begins to interact with the vendor in a friendly manner, making a casual remark, and he responds politely. However, when Lisa asks who bought the jar of peanut butter, the vendor, not very kindly, warns her that he cannot decipher his customers' security codes. He even wonders who Lisa is working for. While the vendor questions Lisa, Bart bursts in aggressively. He starts pulling the vendor's earplugs, forcing him to talk. In the next scene, Bart and Lisa are with the man in a room, in front of several cameras. They begin searching using the security cameras, and after a few minutes, discover that the person who bought the jar of peanut butter was Nelson. There, someone was buying peanut butter. Ah, Nelson! Excited by their discovery, Bart and Lisa run to the city park to find Nelson. When they arrive, they see him sitting with his tablet. They slowly approach him, and Lisa, trying to start a conversation, asks what he is playing. Bart, on the other hand, begins to observe all the details of what is happening in Nelson's game, praising how much his characters have evolved. Lisa, in turn, comments on the expensive upgrades he has made. Nelson starts to feel embarrassed and uncomfortable with the questions about where he got the money to make those game updates. Nervous and trying to change the subject, he gets irritated and, before leaving, spins Bart and Lisa on the park's carousel, trying to get out of the situation quickly. In the city of Sucata, Nelson arrives without realizing that Bart and Lisa are following him. The two start getting scared by the numerous electronic devices scattered around the place. However, they keep investigating. Finally, they discover that Nelson is receiving money from another boy, which makes them believe this is the evidence they need to accuse him. Nelson approaches a tree and takes the smoker from behind it. He hands the device to the man who was waiting. Bart and Lisa, seeing all this, hide and continue spying on the locals. When the new buyer's cell phone rings, he steps away from the smoker, giving Bart and Lisa the opportunity they were waiting for. They run toward the smoker and try to push it, but the device is too hot. After trying for a while, they give up, and as the smoker slides, it stops directly in the back of a truck driven by other men. At night, Homer remains lying on the living room floor, feeling defeated. This time, Bart and Lisa join him, commenting on how much the universe seems to hate them. At that moment, Maggie arrives and joins the group. Homer, in a discouraged tone, advises everyone to give up since the situation seems hopeless. However, Marge enters the room with renewed energy and orders everyone to get off the floor, a culinary decision that would be broadcast on television and airplanes. Lisa, remembering that they no longer had the hive rack, asks for permission to quit with dignity, but Marge does not accept this idea. She explains that they should at least try. "Get up from that floor right now," she orders. "We are participating in a cooking contest." Despite everyone's comments, saying they were quitters, Marge does not give up on her stance and gives a motivational speech about the importance of never giving up and fighting to the end. As she finishes her speech, she orders everyone to get in the car. Upon arriving at the Springfield Barbecue Festival, the whole family is led by Marge, who seems full of energy and motivation. Once they arrive at the competition venue, Marge confidently announces that she could handle the entire barbecue using only her rented spice rack. Soon, the host begins to explain that the barbecue battle will be between the Simpsons and Scott Boone. As the battle begins, the host approaches Marge, who is leading the competition. Marge confidently responds that she is ready. But when asked about Homero and the kids' opinions, the host realizes that they all look completely discouraged and do not believe in victory. However, the host assumes this is just a psychological strategy by the Simpsons to destabilize their competitor. "Do you think I have what it takes to win this contest?" "Absolutely." "Homero, what do you think?" "Not even if the cow coughs." Meanwhile, the host is Scott Boone, who is ahead in the competition. Scott, with an arrogant smile, begins to talk about his innovative product, which combines spices from various cities. He is sure he will win with his groundbreaking recipe. Once both teams finish preparing, Marge takes her dish for the host to taste. However, upon trying the meat, the host makes a disgusted expression. He picks up the trophy to spit it out, clearly disappointed with the seasoning combination that Marge used. After the host's negative reaction, both teams enter a state of total resistance. The scene takes an important turn when Scott Boone presents his roast beef, and the host notices the unusual grill marks. He decides to show them to the audience. At that moment, Bart, still angry, stands up and accuses Scott of stealing the Simpson family's smoker. Scott tries to defend himself, claiming that the meat was cooked in his own equipment. But when he opens the grill, the host realizes that the marks on the meat are completely different from those on his grill. Bart asks the host to announce that Scott Boone is out of the competition for stealing the smoker. The audience falls silent as everyone waits for Scott to leave. The grill marks don't match. Dead meat never lies. Chief Clancy, who is present at the event, observes the situation and, in a relaxed tone, comments that this doesn't seem like such a serious crime, but his two officers quickly take action, assuming responsibility for arresting Scott for theft. With her win in the devouring show, the entire city celebrates with excitement. Everyone is happy, but Lisa, feeling suspicious, tells Bart that their victory seems too easy. She even wonders why such a famous chef as Scott Boone would cheat. Bart is also curious about how Nelson might be involved, but most importantly, they both wonder where their family's smoker is. At that moment, the same bell they heard at the junkyard rings. However, halfway there, Lisa freezes in place when she stumbles upon a pile of meat bones. Then, Bart runs alone after the boy. Bart, determined, asks Homero for help to stop the boy, but Homero, still unmotivated, refuses, claiming that he no longer has the strength to act. However, when he sees the boy approaching, Homero, with a simple gesture, lifts his foot, causing the boy to crash into a huge tomato pie, the world's largest sweet potato pie. As they get closer to the boy, Bart and Lisa wonder what is going on. The boy, with a sad look, explains that he acted that way because Scott was his father and felt that between TV shows and restaurants, his father never had time for him. That's why he tried to ruin Scott's career, hoping it would make him spend more time with him. Lisa, moved by the situation, reflects on the fact that the boy destroyed his father's career, but for a bigger reason. Still, Lisa can understand the choice he made. Tyler Boone, the boy responsible for the disaster, finally reveals what happened. He explains that he met Nelson at a game, and knowing that his father, Scott Boone, was coming to Springfield, hired Nelson to retrieve the Simpson family's smoker. Then he used the grill to cook the meat, swapping the parts to create the illusion that his father had cheated in the competition. Tyler explains that this was the only way he could find to spend more time with his father, as he felt that Scott was never truly there for him. Scott, upon hearing his son's explanation, approaches Tyler with a look of understanding and curiosity, surprised that he had never spoken about how much he missed their time together. Tyler, a bit shy, responds that since they are from New York, talking about feelings was never common. Scott understands the situation well since he is also from New York. However, the scene is interrupted by Bart, who, in his irreverent way, can't help but ask, "What happened to the damn Knicks?" "Oh, Dad, come on, they play so bad." "One more thing, Tyler, where's the beehive?" Closing the episode, the scene shifts to Tyler, showing everyone where he had hidden the smoker, making Homero get up from the ground for the first time and run to hug it. Homero turns to his family and thanks them for not giving up, even after they had already given up on themselves. Finally, the speech continues until Homero looks up at the sky with his best friends and comments on how good the Beehive barbecue was. Barbecue is like family. There are cheap cuts of meat that no one wants, but if you treat them well, they become the best in the world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and your comment. See you in the next videos.